Today we're diving deep into a mystery from the Zohar, and trust me, it's one that completely messes with our basic ideas of reality. It all starts with a cave, a piece of land in Hebron. But this isn't about real estate, it's about a really fundamental question. How in the world can two people stand in the exact same spot at the exact same time and see two totally different worlds? Let's get into it.
So listen to how the Zohar sets the scene. It's not just describing a location, it's painting this multi-sensory experience from another dimension. Just imagine Abraham standing at the entrance. This isn't just him finding an empty cavern. The second he steps inside, he's just enveloped. He smells the impossible, the actual scent of spices from the Garden of Eden, this fragrance of eternity, somehow coming from inside solid rock. And he sees a light that just shouldn't be there, a spiritual candle, burning brightly in this deep darkness. And that experience, it sparks this immediate soul-deep desire. He gets it. He recognizes in a single instant that this place is a portal. He's seeing its hidden, eternal dimension.
Okay, so this right here, this slide gets to the absolute heart of the paradox. For Abraham, the cave is buzzing with radiant light. It smells like paradise. You can feel the pulse of eternity. It is alive. But for Ephron, the guy who actually owns the place, he sees nothing. Utter darkness, stale air, and cold stone. Just an empty plot of land he can sell. This is the mystery we're unpacking. How is that possible? Is reality just in our heads? Or is there something deeper going on, a kind of hidden architecture to the world?
To figure that out, we're going to look at this story from every possible angle. So here's our roadmap. We'll start with the basic story, a tale of two visions. Then we'll uncover the principle of the master of the place. We'll get into some wild analogies with cosmic engineering of reality, and then peek under the hood at the Sephirot, a divine blueprint. After that, we'll explore the game of worthiness, and finally, pull it all together to understand what it means for us to be seeing with new eyes. We're essentially following the classic four-level system of Pardes, moving from the simple story all the way down to the mystical secrets.
So let's begin right at the surface, the first level, the pshat. This is just the simple, what you see is what you get narrative. And on the face of it, it's a pretty straightforward story about a real estate deal, a guy buying a piece of land for a family burial plot.
Right. So here's the critical piece. You've got Ephron, the legal owner. He has the deed. The title is in his name. As far as the world is concerned, that cave is his. But he's completely blind to what it actually is. He just sees dirt and rock and starts calculating its market value in silver. Then you have Abraham, the seeker. He has zero legal claim, but he walks in and immediately perceives its soul. He sees this incredible spiritual nexus. And the Zohar really twists the knife with this haunting question. What if Ephron had seen what was in the cave? The implication is just staggering. It's suggesting that true ownership has nothing to do with paper deeds and everything to do with perception.
And that just leads us perfectly into our second level, the remez, which means the hint. The story isn't just about Abraham and Ephron, it's hinting at a huge universal principle about the connection between our own consciousness and reality itself.
And the principle being hinted at here is this concept of the Baal HaMakom, literally the master of the place. Now, this is a revolutionary idea. The Zohar is telling us that the true master of any place isn't the one holding the legal documents, but the one whose soul is spiritually configured to resonate with that place's inner, hidden reality. Abraham was the Baal HaMakom of the cave, not because he bought it later, but because his soul was already tuned to its frequency. Ephron, even though he owned it, was a spiritual stranger there. He was in the place, but he wasn't of the place.
Okay, to make this ancient idea totally clear, let's use a modern analogy we can all get our heads around. I want you to stop thinking about reality as just one solid thing. Think of it more like a really sophisticated operating system. And the truth is, this operating system has permission levels.
And this illustrates it perfectly. Ephron, he was a standard user. He could see the user interface, the rocks, the darkness, the physical stuff. He was limited to the public view, just the surface of reality. But Abraham had admin access. He could see the source code running behind the interface. He had access to all the deeper data layers, the spiritual light, the souls of Adam and Eve, the gateway to Eden. See, for the standard user, the deeper reality is concealed. But for the admin, that very same reality is revealed. It's the same system, the same cave, but their credentials, their spiritual state, determine what they were permitted to see.
Okay, so now we move to the drash level. This is where we use allegories to see how this principle isn't just about some cave two guys saw thousands of years ago. This is about the very fabric of our own experience. We're zooming out to see the universal truth here.
Here's a really simple way to think about it.
A video game analogy. Picture two players walking into the exact same room in some huge online game. For player one, it's just an empty stone chamber. Boring. But player two, who spent hours and hours completing this difficult secret quest, well, they see something completely different. For them, a glowing, shimmering portal materializes right in the middle of the room, leading to a hidden level. The room is the same. The code is the same. But the state of the player, what they've done, what they've earned, that determines what the room reveals to them. Abram was player one. Abraham, he was player two.
And for the adults, we can look at this through the lens of modern IT. Think of reality as a giant, secure system built with what's called role-based access control. The information you're allowed to see isn't based on where you are physically, it's based on your credentials. A CEO and an intern can log into the exact same company's server from their laptops, but their roles grant them access to completely different sets of data. The Zohar is basically saying the universe works the same way. Your spiritual state is your credential. It defines your role, and your role determines which layer of reality you are authorized to perceive.
And now we arrive at the deepest level, the Sod, this secret. We've seen what happened, and we've talked about the principle behind it. But now we're going to unpack the mystical physics, the spiritual mechanics of how this actually works. This is the divine blueprint of perception itself.
Okay, so this table breaks down the mystical physics of it all. According to Kabbalah, you've got three key sephirot, or divine emanations, at play here. First, there's Malkut, which means kingdom. That's the physical place itself, the cave. It's the container, the earthly vessel. Think of it as the hardware. Next, you have Yesod, the foundation. This is the unseen spiritual gateway, a kind of portal that is constantly transmitting a higher reality into that physical space. It's the divine Wi-Fi signal. And finally, there's Tiferet, which represents beauty and harmony. Now, this isn't part of the cave, it's the quality of the person's soul. Abraham's soul was in a state of Tiferet, perfect harmony, which made it the perfect receiver for that signal coming through the gateway.
So let's trace the flow of how this actually happens. Step 1, you have the place, Malkut, the physical cave, just sitting there, holding all this dormant spiritual power. Step 2, the gateway, Yesod. That unseen channel is constantly broadcasting a higher reality into that physical spot. The signal is always on. Step 3, the recipient, Tiferet. Abraham walks in. His soul, because of its state of harmony, is like a device that already knows the Wi-Fi password. It connects instantly and decodes the signal. Ephron's soul was like a device without the password. The signal was there, but it couldn't connect. And that leads to step 4, the vision. For the soul that's aligned, the broadcast becomes perceptible. The hidden light becomes totally visible.
So we get the mechanics. There's a place, a gateway, and a recipient. And that brings us to the most critical part of this whole equation, the state of the individual. Why did Abraham's soul work like a receiver and Ephron's didn't? It all comes down to a state of being, a kind of spiritual alignment that makes perception possible. We're still in the sod level here, but we're moving from the cosmic hardware to the user's personal software.
Wow. Just let that quote sink in for a minute. The body is the garment of the man and not the man himself. This gets right to the core of it. Our physical body, our 5 senses, they're just a garment we're wearing. They aren't our true self. The man himself, the real you, is your inner spiritual being, your soul. And it is this inner self that does the real perceiving. The body is the hardware, the soul is the operating system, and the user all rolled into one. So it follows that the state of your soul is what actually determines the reality you're allowed to experience.
And this brings us to this incredibly important concept, ra'ui. Now, this Hebrew word is often translated as worthiness, but honestly, that's a bit misleading. It doesn't mean being morally good enough, like you're being judged. A much better way to think of it is alignment or fitness or being properly configured. It's a term from spiritual physics. A radio is ra'ui. It's fit to receive a broadcast only when it's built right and tuned to the correct frequency. Abraham was ra'ui to perceive the cave's holiness because his soul was properly configured and tuned to that exact spiritual frequency. Ephron just wasn't. It wasn't a punishment, it was just a matter of mechanics.
So the natural next question is, okay, great. How do I get aligned? How do I tune my own soul? Well, the mystical tradition gives us a clear framework, a whole toolkit for this. Alignment is achieved through specific practices designed to calibrate our inner being. Actions, or mitzvot, are like spiritual technologies. Each one is a tool that tunes a specific aspect of the soul, like tuning the strings on a guitar. Torah study isn't just about learning facts, it's about engaging with divine consciousness to literally reconfigure your mind. Teshuvah, or return, is that constant process of course-correcting back to our spiritual source. And so importantly, kavanah is the deep intention and focus of the heart that directs all of our energy. Together, these are the practices that can upgrade our spiritual access from standard user to admin.
All right, we have been on an incredible journey through the story, the principle, the allegories, and the deep mystical mechanics. So now, let's bring this all home. What's the personal takeaway for each of us? How does this ancient secret from the Zohar change the way we see our own lives today?
And this is it. This is the core message, the ultimate takeaway from this whole thing. The reality we experience is not some fixed, objective thing out there. It's a dynamic, multi-layered potential. The world you perceive is a direct reflection of your own inner state. It's not about what's happening around you, it's about what you've cultivated inside of you. The potential for a deeper, more meaningful, even magical reality is always present, broadcasting constantly. The only question is, are we tuned to the right frequency to perceive it?
So we want to leave you with this final thought. That cave isn't just a place in a story. It's a metaphor for your own life. It's your job, it's your relationships, it's every challenge you face. On the surface, maybe it looks like Ephron's cave. Dark, mundane, maybe even empty. But the Zohar is teaching us that within every single thing, a hidden light is being broadcast. So the question is, what hidden light in your life are you the rightful master of? What new reality is just waiting for you to become aligned enough to finally see it?
Thank you so much for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We really hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and definitely share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We love reading them. We'll see you in the next chapter.